And what I'm going to do is we're going to talk UFOs tonight. And Nathan, of course, was at the cryptid hike last one. And him and Terry and Heather had the...
You're listening to Squatch Talks Podcast. Real stories and real encounters told by real researchers. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to Squatch Talks Podcast. And I just wanted to say this is a really special night. We've got Andy Giles joining us from Pinelands Adventures. You may recall Andy from previous episodes. I was supposed to have this other camera turned off and I forgot to do it, so I can't do that now, of course. But an even more special surprise is somebody came into town to join me tonight. We have Nathan.
Andy from previous episodes.
Oh, I gotta mute this. Sorry. But Nathan Moyer is back on Squatch Talks Podcast, joining me tonight from Pennsylvania, but here live in studio. And you don't see, but Art is actually filming as well. There you go. So Art's here too. And so tonight we are pleased to say that it's going to be an exciting evening of UFOs, or what do they call them?
UAPs.
Right? The new politically correct term. And there's just so much going on. I mean, October is going to be a busy month, let me tell you. And it started out, we got back October 1st from the Pennsylvania expedition, right? Which was quite successful. Lots of activity. So we're going to have to do some type of wrap up, I think, episode of that. If I can get maybe Nate and Brian to join me. I didn't say anything because, you know, I'm not trying to be pushy or nothing, but now that he's here. But
large can of worms. I just opened.
Oh, yeah. You might notice Heather's not with us tonight. We were going to bring her on because she was going to share some of her experiences, but she's a little tired. So because Nate showed up, she's off the hook. So it's going to be the three of us and Art in the background filming until later. When we wrap things up, we're heading out into the forest to continue the search for the Sasquatch as well. So we're going to continue to film out there. And who knows, if we get it real lucky, we might even go live and bring you with us for a little while. But if not, this is what Art and I have been doing. We've been actually filming as we're out, right? And we got some cool material on Thursday night. So we'll see what happens. Again, trying to take you along with us for the ride and show all of you what we do out in the field, and hopefully you'll enjoy coming along. I first want to just quickly thank our friends at Yeti Bars. Okay, the guys out in the Yeti lair are doing a great job, and we've got the Squatch Talks Podcast Yeti Bar, and the new body wash is available. So remember, go to yetibars.net and use code STP10 at checkout and you'll get 10% off. And how much is free shipping, Nate?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Anymore.
it's still $75.
I forgot.
And if you have any questions or comments, you can either leave them in the comment section below or you can email us at
Squatch Talks Podcast
at
gmail.com.
Yeah, so go to nasbro.net. That's another one you can reach us at. So, hey, took care of business real quick. You know, as I've said before, sometimes our attention spans nowadays with TikTok and the reels and all that, you know, boom, you're gone. But hopefully you'll stick around and hear these stories because I can tell you, Andy's got a doozy and actually did tell me about it the other day when we were out on our preview hike that we're doing for the Pinelands Adventures on the 28th of October, right, Andy? We're going to be...
It is, yeah. Yeah, we got a full house pretty much. Yeah.
That's awesome. So we're going out on a long night hike, and we're going to do some squatching at the same time, if I'm correct. And then
we have a nice, it's a nice about 3.25 mile hike, followed by a campfire down at the Batona campground afterwards. So it'll be kind of cool.
Spores and stories.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's going to be fun. That's October 28th. Unfortunately, it's too late for you to go to pinelandsadventures.org, is it?
It is .org. Yes.
.org, yes. I'll put that in the description as well for our viewers. And hey,
I
check
think
that out.
there might be one more slot available.
There might be, because I had asked you to maybe open it
Yeah,
up for
yeah,
one
there
more.
might be one more slot.
So if that lucky person is listening, be sure to
Exactly.
hurry up and get to pinelandsadventures.org, okay? And reserve your spot. Would you like to be? You're already invited.
Yeah, somebody needs to look after the campfire.
That's right. And Nathan did a good job with Terry and Heather last time when we did it. They kept the fire stoked, right?
Yeah,
And kept
yeah,
everything
exactly.
ready to go. And while they were sitting there, they had an experience which was of the extraterrestrial variety. So why don't I let Nathan tell that story? Let's start with
that. I don't even know if you guys were gone for 5 minutes, and I went to the car to get whatever I was getting, and Terry and Heather kept saying they see this light. It would get brighter, dimmer, and it was just out. Which direction was that? That was probably east.
Oh yeah, no clue which way
you're
sitting.
I saw it twice get brighter, but then I was looking at it through the night vision, and I actually saw it make like an energy swoop and disappear, and the little trail stayed there. And they couldn't see it, but I could see it with the night vision.
Yeah, so it left a like a heat signature then as it disappeared. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It was different.
It did. And also, I think it was Heather who had originally said, "Oh, it's just a star," because she uses that Occam's razor philosophy that I always talk about, right? And Terry's like, "No, it's not."
Well, they were trying to prove it, make sure it wasn't a plane.
Yeah,
but that's the way to do it.
Hey, I just got a notification from Squatch Talks podcast that we're talking UFOs tonight. Hey, something's working. Oh, I'm always nervous before we start these things, because it takes a little bit of finesse. I'm trying to figure out how to stream it to not only YouTube, but Facebook as well. That would be the real trick moving forward. But, that was that was when, a year ago that we did that cryptid hike? Andy?
that was pretty much, within, what is it now? 7th. So, yeah, last year it was around the same time, like the 15th, 16th, around there, maybe a little bit later. I know it was around Halloween.
Yeah.
That we did that last hike. So around this. Yeah, it was the end of this month. Yeah, last year.
Interesting. And it's funny because Art and I were out. I don't know if Nathan was with us that night, but we were after the Jersey expedition and the Pine Barrens one, and we had a group of us out there. I know Brian was with us, but I don't recall if you were there that night. And we saw up in the sky. I'm looking up and I see this white, looking like a satellite, white light going across the sky, and all of a sudden there was this flash. Like, if you remember those old-fashioned flash bulbs that cameras used, that's what it looked like above me, and it was just like a bright flash right overhead, and then it kept going, and then there was a second one behind it, and then there was a second bright flash, like somebody was taking flash photography from out in space. So, again, these are unexplained phenomena that we experience, sometimes out in the woods, which on other occasions too, we've seen some craft, Art and I, when we're sitting there, we'll see something moving in one direction, all of a sudden it shoots off to the other direction, comes back, you know what I mean, and flies irregularly. So our typical aircraft here on Earth doesn't do that, so
yeah, there's definitely an interesting flight pattern, isn't there? And not your typical linear aircraft flight pattern,
right?
From what I've seen, they can react very quickly and change directions very, very quickly,
and altitude as well.
Yeah, I mean I've got a video on my phone actually. Can't show you because it's on this phone, but a very similar thing when I was in the woods a few years ago with the dog, and we just come back from a hike, and I watched this. Well, I'll say it was a glowing white ball just appear out of the woods, kind of rise up, and it would fly around and kind of do a circle and then drop back down and then come back up. And after about a minute of this, because I'm sitting on the tailgate watching this out the back of the landy, that's when I started videoing it, because I'm thinking, what the heck is this? Because I thought it was a helicopter. But there was no sound, and there were no lights on it. There were no red and green lights. There were no other indicator lights, no flashing lights, no, port, starboard, directional lights on there. It was just a round, and it wasn't particularly bright. It was like a glowing moon, but not really bright. And like I said, I watched it for a minute or two, and then I realized this is weird. I'll take my phone out and video this, and I got like the last 30 seconds before it flies off in a cloud and disappears for good. But it was just odd. It was just, what is it? I'm thinking it's an aircraft, and I'm watching it, and then I'm realizing it's going down, then it's coming back up, and then it's flying around. I'm like, wait a second, this isn't a normal, pattern of flight for that area. And all around this area, you got Fort Dix, McGuire, Lakehurst. You've got helicopters all over the place. I was only in the Pinelands 2 days ago, and I was watching there was actually a Black Hawk flying around Carranza Memorial. He was circling around, but I mean, you could hear it and feel it in the air. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, you can definitely tell a helicopter's about changing directions. This thing, totally silent.
Yeah. And Art and I, every time we go out, it seems now there's Black Hawk helicopters showing up.
Yeah, well, I hadn't noticed them in a while, and then this last week there seems to be definitely an increase in activity from down my way here of helicopters flying around.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. Maybe there's something in the woods, but I was down. Maybe that Bigfoot hunting. I don't know. But I was actually down at High Crossing when that helicopter was flying around, and it would have been over in the woods by Carranza Memorial.
Okay.
And he was hovering around for it was a long time. It was about 15 minutes, because I remember hiking down the trail away from it, thinking he's going to be flying away anytime soon, but he wasn't. He kept circling around. Well, what was going on? Who knows?
And High Crossing is where you were with your friend that afternoon, right? When you had something strange kind of happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was it was definitely very strange. It was unexpected and unusual. I'd never seen anything like that before. And it was a few years ago now. It was when I had an old Nissan Pathfinder.
Yeah.
We were come back from a walk with the dogs, and we had.
I actually recorded you telling me this story, if you recall, when we were out on our preview the other day.
Yep.
So I'm thinking on the episode, because I'm going to take this footage and kind of work some magic and editing on it, and I'm going to include that from out in the forest.
So this is where we saw the orbs one night, quite a few years ago now, maybe about 8 years ago. We were parked up here, so trucks were facing into the woods. The tailgate was open here, and we were both sitting on the tailgate, and the dogs were running up and down the road just having a bit of fun. And right about here, about this height, from this direction, is this blur that flies right across in front of us, and it happened so quickly, and we were literally looking right at it. It was like somebody serving a tennis ball at that speed. And as it went by, we both looked, and we could see it go off around the corner there. And Willow actually gave chase for about 30 yards and then lost it. And I remember turning around and we both said, what the F was that? But it made no sound, it had no lights, and it was a grey grapefruit-sized ball. And it was probably going maybe about 100 miles an hour with no sound at all. And it followed the road. If you look down there, you can see the road curves off. And you could see it go off around the curb there. So it followed the path of the road, and it was completely silent. And what I said to Bob was, if it was any darker at night, because this was in the fall, and it was dark around, I think it was dark around about 5:15.
Sure.
So it was, definitely we'd put the clocks back. And if it would have been any darker, you would have never have known it flew by.
That's what got us. It was that quiet.
Wow.
And it was just basically this grey ball, and the greyness was really, it was just the ambient light that it was reflecting. So if it had been any darker, you would not have even known it flew by.
Wow.
That's how crazy that was. And to this day, you know, we still park at this site and do a loop. And we always say, you know, I wonder if we're going to see that thing again. Because we don't know what it was, honestly.
Well, we're not that far off as far as time right now, you know.
Right.
Because we haven't set the clocks back yet.
Yep.
You know. Who
It
knows?
came from this direction, and the way we were sitting, because this is angled down,
Mm-hmm.
we were kind of looking up, and it was right in our view, and it was straight by like a blur. And as we looked, you could see it was clearly round about where that tree kind of leans out. You could actually see the shape of it, and that's when I'm like, well, that's a ball. It's a grapefruit. It's a flying grapefruit that's grey. It's the bizarrest thing.
And Willow gave chase, you
Willow
said.
chased it. Willow chased it about halfway down that road and then lost track of it.
And you were saying
And she
you
kind of came back.
were concerned though, right?
Yeah, we're concerned she was going to cause an intergalactic incident. Because she was a good jumper in those days. And I've actually watched her at at some of these some of these hikes in the pine bands, and a flock of birds will fly over the cranberry bog, and she's actually jumped through the flock and snatched a bird out of the flock. And I was worried she was going to do that to this thing.
Absolutely.
But it was just too quick for her.
Wow.
And like I said, she lost track of this. Hey, pup, I think you remember that too. And to this day, we don't know what that was. It was one of the strange sights we've seen in the middle of the forest here. Don't know. It's following the road, and it may have been mapping the road, because it was perfectly down the middle of the road.
Well,
So all the way from that end,
that's
all the way down there and around the corner.
a great story, mate. And hey,
Perfect.
you've heard it here first on Squatch Talks podcast.
I can add more to the story too, and as you go through the process there, but it was silent. It never gave off any lights. It was not a drone. I mean, you'd have had to have been a really good drone operator to fly, your helicopter down that road that time of night,
Right.
in the middle of the forest. No way you could have done it without crashing.
Yeah.
And actually, Willow gave chase, because she was down the road, and I think saw it coming, made a jump for it and chased it, and she quickly lost it. It was going too quickly.
Yeah.
So it went off down the road. But we said to Bob, we both I turned around and I looked back, and Bob's facing me, and it was both, what the hell was that? I mean,
Yeah.
and to this day, you go through your brain, it's like, well, what was that? Was it a drone? Was it a bird? Was it a nightjar flying through? But, nightjars, they got wings. I mean, you can tell what they are. They're fast, but if they swoop down, they usually swoop down and go back up, and they make the buzzing noise with the wings.
Right.
This was silent. I mean,
Yeah, we call those the Nighthawks. Art and I have misconstrued their buzzing wings as growls.
Yeah.
We used to think we were recording growls, but it turned out to be a Nighthawk.
yeah, and that they will swoop down, but typically they do not follow the path of a road and disappear off around the corner. This was clearly round, and we can only tell what shape it was because it was further down the road for your eyes to see. And that's when we knew it was a round object. And
you said it kind of had the same kind of coloration and appearance of like a miniature Death Star. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it was like it was a dull gray. It was really it kind of emulated the surrounding light. Because I said to Bob, I said, if that would have been any darker, we would have never have known it flew by. You would have never known it flew by.
wow, it's amazing, and you wonder how something like that would be able to maneuver as adeptly as it did in a narrow trail.
It seemed to me, I mean, we went down the road, but looking down the road, it seemed to me like it perfectly stayed center road without deviating to the left or the right side. It went straight down the middle of that road and around the corner,
and then it turns. I saw it.
Yeah,
the road
goes up around the corner.
Yeah, it's amazing. Wow, that's pretty cool. And again, it may be a little redundant, but I'm going to include the footage because it actually shows you the location where this occurred.
Yeah.
So I think that
High Crossing.
Yeah.
I mean, I park down there a lot, and I always think, it's like, am I going to see that thing again?
You never know.
You never know. Well, we joke. In those days, Willow was young and she was fast, and she could jump really well. And we often we kind of laugh. We say, you know, we almost caused an intergalactic incident. Should have caught it.
Could have.
That would be bad.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, dog catches UFO.
Well, I personally have had a couple of experiences also that I can't chalk up to being anything but a extraterrestrial, or at least something from out of this world. My neighbor and I were watching the Perseids meteor showers about 1995-ish, 96, I guess it was. And we're sitting
I remember watching those myself. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, we were just hanging out in the backyard, looking up into the sky, and over the Japanese maple to my left comes these two craft. They're kind of shaped hexagonal in the front and round in the back. They're about 1,000 feet up, one in front of the other, charcoal gray in appearance, and this is dark at night, about 12:30, 1 a.m. right? And underneath both of them was a round disc, which was orange red in color, and it was pulsing like boom, 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 but silent. I couldn't hear any motors or engines, no sound at all. And I looked over at him and I said, "You hearing what I'm hearing?" Or I said, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" He went, "Yeah." And they
He's
just
looking in. He's like, "What is in this?"
just glided over. Well, there was some CBD smoked earlier in the evening. I will say that was back in the day. Okay. But I don't think that would alter my ability to recognize something. And then not long after that, I was actually going back to the backyard with my dog, Max, the Jack Russell terrorist. And we were checking the pool to make sure everything was ready for the guys to come and I can't remember now if they were opening it or closing it, the next day. So I walked through the rose trellis to go into what we had like an English garden. You might know what I'm talking about, right? It was separated by the fence and the trellis.
Yeah, you divided.
Yep. And I checked the pool out. I had, I think, a beverage in my hand and the dog with me. As I'm coming back through the trellis, 5 white triangles flew right overhead, like just above the height of my house, and silently, but you could hear that sound, you know what I mean, as they came over, to the point where I literally ducked like this. And I could see them flying in a V formation, 5 of them, white triangles, right over my house. And I ran to the front thinking that I'd be able to see them across the street over the park. Okay. They were gone. So I'm walking back down my driveway towards the back of the house now, and it came back again from the opposite direction over my house, and it just went up straight and to the left towards towards the west, the northwest, and again just whoosh, right out of sight. And I was like, "Oh my God," and this is right when the internet was just coming about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I rush into, and I rush upstairs, and I say to my ex-wife, I'm like, "Oh my God, I just think I saw a UFO." And I'm going online till I see if there's any reportings. And I'm like, "Wait a minute, I just saw it. How would it already be reported?" And there was nobody I knew to report it to. So obviously I never kept any notes back then. I wasn't doing any Bigfoot research or anything at the time. So that kind of is lost to memory. But another occasion, and I tried to use like Occam's razor though and say that they were geese, because I remember being in the backyard, and because there was a dealership in the back to my right, I did see some geese fly over once. And because the dealership had bright lights, it illuminated the underbelly of the geese.
Yeah, right? Reflected on the bellies. Yep.
Yeah, but the geese flying over, I could hear them squawking and flapping their wings. You know what I mean? So I'd have to say
and they're moving a lot slower too.
Yeah, a lot slower.
I saw one. I did see one in England years ago when I was back home visiting my parents.
Right.
And it was actually around. It was around New Year, and my mum had gone outside for a fag. For all those listening, a cigarette. And she said, "Hey, come outside and have a look at this." And there was this orange ball flying around and it was, it's cloud in England, but there was fairly low cloud, but there was this orange ball shooting across the sky, and you could see it lighting up the underside of the clouds. And I went and got it was hanging around long enough. It was flying around. I went and got the binoculars from inside, and my dad came out too. And all three of us were looking at this thing with a pair of 10 by 50 good pair of binoculars.
Right.
And you can clearly see it was a round orange ball. And so I went online to find out if anybody else had spotted it. And yeah, what had happened is, and you can actually go online and look for this, it actually shut down Coventry Airport because it went over there, and it was apparently over the airport that they stopped air traffic.
Wow.
So yeah, the Coventry Evening Telegraph ran that story, and I also want to say it made it on one of the news outlets. So a lot of people saw this thing flying around, and it stopped traffic over in Coventry, which is only 15 miles from my mum and dad. So, you know, and I guess at the time it did it, must have got there fairly quickly, you know.
Well, it's funny too, because I think the British government was one of the first ones to kind of come out about their possibility of being life on other planets, right? There was some reports from the parliament or whatever talking about that.
Yep. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, you know, with the popularity now of, you know, Skinwalker Ranch, the visual experiences of the pilots, you know, the Navy pilots with the Tic Tacs, all that footage coming out. It's like, it makes you wonder, you know, where are they really from? Are they actually able to traverse wormholes? I mean, are they outer space, or could they be inner space? Could they be multidimensional?
Sure.
I mean, they had that one, you know, they videoed that one on Skinwalker Ranch, and they got it on camera, and it flies into the top of the mesa. They're in a helicopter filming it. I forget which episode it was, but there they are. They've got it on camera, and it flies straight into the top of the mesa, which is solid rock, and then comes out of the mesa like 400 or 500 yards further down, like where you could see it gone in a line, and then flies past the helicopter they were in. And they got it on video.
Right.
So it actually was able to go into the mesa and come out of the mesa. Bizarre. So, you know, I mean, for some craft to be able to traverse that kind of medium, I mean, who knows what the tech is? I mean, it's incredible.
Totally. Well, it's funny. I had a couple of customers in today, as a matter of fact, and somehow in the conversation, because they do watch our show here, it came up in the conversation that we were talking UFOs tonight, and of course I invited them to check it out, and they were asking me what I thought about it. And of course, I'm of the belief that there is life on other planets. I feel that it's arrogant, you know, to think that we're the only intelligent life in this vast universe, right? I said, but there's other opinions also that it could potentially be visitors from the future coming back in time, like time travel. Some people feel, you know. So again, people have different opinions, and Art's over there shaking his head. But what do you think, Nathan?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna comment on that yet.
No opinion.
I don't have an educated enough opinion yet.
Well, that's cool. And like I said, I just feel like there is definitely so much out there that we don't know yet, including there could be what they call USOs too, right? Which are unexplained submersible objects. And there's people who believe that there's alien life under the seas, you know, with
I think I mean, if these craft are able to traverse space and different media like they've been shown to do, then it would be probably the most natural place for them to be able to hide out without being spotted,
right,
is under the ocean. And you know, there's not a lot of people around that can see them under there. You know, there was one story, and I forget where I read it. It was on a YouTube program. I can't remember where, but they did talk about a USO. And the guy that was telling the story was something to do with the CIA, and they were in a Seawolf sub, and apparently they've been doing something in possibly other nations' waters, and they were having to leave the scene at a high rate of speed. So they had this nuclear powered sub. I guess this thing was flat out, whatever knots that was. I mean, they say they do 30 knots underwater, but typically these things can go a bit quicker, more like 45.
Right.
So there they are. So they're in this Seawolf, I guess, getting out of Dodge, and they hear this USO come past them. And the guy that's explaining the story is a very high-ranking official. He's got a PhD in physics. He's a scientist. He's worked for the government for years. He gave a lot of information, I think, to Tom Clancy to write some of those Clancy books. And this thing goes by them, and he said they heard it in the water, past. And he ran to the sonar operator and looked. And this thing, whatever it was doing the speed of sound underwater past them.
Wow.
And he said, you clearly heard it go by. And he said it wasn't a torpedo. It was way too quick.
Yeah.
And but the sonar operator, said it was doing the speed of sound underwater, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's really crazy. And our friend Eric Mintel from Eric Mintel Investigates, he told me a story. He was driving along in Bucks County one day, and he was going past, I guess, the river, and out of the river he saw like what looked like those orange, like Chinese lanterns.
Mountains.
Right? Yeah, just come up out of the water, like 5 of them, and he wound up pulling over, and he managed to I think capture a little bit of them elevating on his video. So it's just crazy how many people report seeing this strange phenomena. So,
Well, there's a very long history of recorded sightings, aren't there? I mean, even the Bayer Tapestry actually has a UFO in it.
Right.
When the Normans invaded Britain in 1066, to celebrate the successful invasion, Henry commissioned the Bayer Tapestry, and there's a UFO in it. There's clearly an object in the sky with the trail, and it's round. It's not a star. It's a UFO.
Could it have been possibly a comet, though?
Well, no, because they've actually drawn and painted comets.
They have
in that period, and they look completely different. This thing looks like a circle. It's like unusual.
Right. Well, again, that's the first thing that popped into my mind. Based on things that are most likely to be right.
Yep.
It's possible they saw a comet, and that would have been, drawn into the tapestry. But like you said, it didn't resemble what the other images are from that time period. So
yeah, no, and in history too, there was, I forget where it was. There was also some other. You can probably find it online. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a picture of what was drawn back in the 1500s of. They basically look like balls, like different colored balls of light in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And this went on for a period of time, and over days, and people recorded it, and it's they've been painted or drawn, and to this day nobody knows what they were. Some sort of aerial phenomenon that was making these strange patterns in the sky. Right. So who knows what they were?
Well, I sure as heck don't. But I'm going to keep looking up into the heavens. We do that even when we're out squatching. I'll just kind of kick back in my chair and watch the sky and see sometimes meteors, because when we're in the Pine Barrens, there's a lot less light pollution, as you know. And so, this is going to be, like I said, a crazy busy month. We're going back up to Kearney Cottage on, I believe, the 22nd of October. It's a Sunday from 11 till 7, I believe, is the event. It's a Halloween special event. So there's a few speakers that'll be talking up there. I'm going to be one of them. Heather and I are going to join Eric Mintel Investigates at Robin's Nest on October 20th. So that weekend's kind of booked already. And he has dinner and a show. So there are some seats available, I believe, for that. So if you're interested, go to Eric Mintel Investigates on Facebook. And he's also on YouTube. But I'm definitely going to be there. And then what do we got going on? October 28th, Pinelands Adventures. We got the Cryptid Night Hike coming up with Andy and myself. And who knows, we might have some special guests joining us there. Art's, I think, possibly going to come to assist, maybe. And not doing the hike, though. I know that. But we talked about Jacob, maybe. I don't. Oh, no, you know what? Jacob's going to be out of town that night, so he won't be able to join us. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we got a bunch of people out in the woods tonight, and it's going to be us three, and we're going to go meet up with my other brother from another mother. Brian Spinner is down from New York, folks.
Yep.
And who knows? He may make a special guest appearance if we can get things working, right?
That's right. I'm itching to get out there.
We are itching to get out there. So, hey, I want to thank everybody, especially for clicking on the video and tuning in tonight. And don't forget to support our sponsors and YetiBars.net, and also our friends at Black Rifle Coffee Company. I'm drinking some Cactus Squatch right now as we speak. And I especially want to thank Andy for coming on and for all his help in the past. But thank you to Andy from Pinelands Adventures. And hey, if you're out in the Pine Barrens, check them out. They do great canoe trips and other events that you're sure to enjoy. I don't think we had any other stories, right, guys? Are we good as far as the UFOs? And with the footage I'm going to add from our walk in the woods the other day, Andy, I think this will be a nice enough episode to put out there for our viewers. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And Andy, thank you.
Yeah, we had a nice day out there. It was a nice hike.
Oh, absolutely. Perfect weather, too.
You know, perfect weather. Some mushroomers were out mushrooming.
There was.
So
Willow greeted them properly.
she did a typical hound fashion. Bark, hackles, you know, the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting back out there with you. And after you wrap up your season, we'll do it some more. Okay. And,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have pretty much the last part of our season. I'll have Wharton. We have the McNulty Leadership School come out, and their MBA students will come out and do 2 days in the Pine Barrens. So we put them through hell for 2 days, and they have a good time and learn some team building.
Well, hey, if you want me to come out and do some calls while you're out there with them and scare the crap
Well,
out
maybe
of them.
I think we might have to introduce an element of this to their program, which might be kind of fun.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that could be quite entertaining.
I think it could.
So, hey, Andy, it's been great having you on again. Always a pleasure. I could just listen to you talk, for 2 hours.
I
So.
appreciate it. It's fun. There's a lot to see and do in the woods, and sometimes it's unexpected.
That's right.
And I'd also really want to thank Nate for coming down and surprising me this weekend. And what a great pleasure it's going to be out there again. We were just out, the three of us, on the expedition in PA. So we want to keep the ball rolling. What do we say? Momentum going or something, right?
When you have the opportunity, take it.
That's right. And so, again, thanks to everybody for tuning in. And Nate,
Thanks for squatching.
hopefully we'll have a few people chime in. But what I was getting at, okay, is I'm going to use the footage that we recorded of you out in the woods the other day. So I'm going to take what we record here and combine the two. So I can include that. So at some point, we're going to bring that up. And that's where I'll cut the episode. Okay. And we'll pretend like we were watching it.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we'll discuss it afterwards, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Sounds good.
Does that make sense?
Sounds good. We had a bit of a UFO discussion tonight, actually, because, Alison was talking about the folklore stories of the Pine Barrens and the Leeds family and the black dog and the white stag of Shamong. And, we had a hard time because it wasn't a hike. There was she had a bit of a hard time doing a transition between folklore stories because you're not hiking along and talking and chatting to people. And so the topic of UFOs actually came up, which was quite funny because, I've had a few incidences of these things occurring, and a couple of people have also had their, they shared their experience too. And, and I did tell them, I said, one of the events I did see, which was when I was driving down to Millville, I did, because I've got the photographs on this phone I did file a MUFON report on what I saw. And what I saw was very, very unusual. And I actually managed to snap a photograph of this thing, like up in the sky, and sent it to MUFON.
Cool.
So it was pretty cool.
Awesome. And do you have a contact at MUFON that you
No, I just went on their generic website and filed a report, and then a guy phoned me back and talked to
Want
me
me to give
about
you
what
that
I
share?
observed.
I can hand it over real
I'm
easy.
good. I'm good.
Okay, if you do, let me know. That's awesome. Well, we can definitely
Who called you back?
I forget the name of the guy. It was just, I guess, one of their investigators. I guess they have an area investigator.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
you know, they called me back and believed that, you know, it was a legitimate kind of sighting. And I'm like, well, you know, for something to travel behind an aircraft in its contrail,
Yeah.
and then to suddenly come to a stop, right, and just stop there from, I don't know. I mean, it was catching the jet up, so it was going faster than the jet, because I watched it. It was catching the jet up in the contrail, and then it came to a stop,
absolutely. This say
and then shot out to the side, and then another jet came down, and then it went back and then followed that jet, and it did that like 3 or 4 times, you know. And I'm like, well, that's kind of really weird. and
It's trying to get through the.
My wife saw something similar. It went up against to an airliner flying along, and this thing just caught right up to it, stopped, looked at it, and then took off.
Shot
the
off.
other way.
Yeah, well, I was actually, only reason I noticed it, I was stuck in traffic in Hamilton, because I was on the main road going to Hamilton, and I think the train crossing closed because there was a train.
Mhm.
I was sat there just kind of, you know, going to work, looking up, thinking, geez, I wish I was on one of those jets. I was just watching them make these S patterns with their contrails going south,
yeah.
thinking, I wish I was on one of them. And then I see this thing flying along in the contrail, and I thought, well, that's kind of an odd thing for a jet to do.
Yeah.
You know, normally they go out to the sides or follow within a certain distance, but this thing was actually following along in the contrail, because it would glint. So that's the new map for the cryptid hike.
It's awesome. Well, if you sit where you are and hold it, you should be okay. I can see you now.
You can see that there.
Now I can see it. Yes. Perfect.
So you gents, you better wrap up tonight. It's getting cool out there.
We are. Yes.
You know, I noticed that when I was sitting around tonight, I was thinking, "Ooh, it's definitely getting the fall in the air now."
Yeah, it's gonna be like 49, so I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We've
I'm
done
sleeping
colder.
in the car. I'll be fine.
He's gonna be in the car camping, so I got the tent. Andy, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. And
We'll talk soon.
you know, yeah, I'll talk soon. Like I said, this is going to go out. This map is going to go out. Well, the map is going to go out on email.
Perfect.
And then I'm just going to remind everybody, headlights with a red light, and if they're staying for the campfire, bring a camp chair.
Very good. Sounds excellent. So
And then we're good. I mean, we've already got, I think, 17, and we'll see if we can fill the other space.
okay. Thank you. Looking forward
Have
to
a good night, lads. Take care. Nate,
Cheers.
pleasure, mate. Cheers.
Yep. Good to see you again.
See you later.
Yeah. I gotta remember to hit this button too when good night, all.
Yeah.
That was great.
Good night, all.
Thanks.
Usually what I forget to do is cut the YouTube, and Heather goes, "Oh, that was a piece of shit."
Nate, I need you to say thank you.
Oh no, you're muted. Never mind.
He's still connecting.
Good day, mate. Oh wait, that's Australia. Never mind. But actually, tonight after we get wrapped up, we're gonna head out to the forest
Oh my God.
and
You
remote.
guys are
camp.
crazy.
Oh yeah.
Now, where are you camping?
We
Well, I
can't
could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
He sounds Australian to me.
Amazing. It's paranormal. He's just. Oh, okay. Yeah, we got 15 minutes before I got to go live. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is just all this technical stuff. It's above my pay grade, you know. Slide back over.
There's
All right.
another guy back here. Can you see him?
There's Art.
Oh,
Hey.
how you doing?
Art's filming.
Thanks for squatching. Thanks for checking out this episode of Squatch Talks Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and give us a like, and stay tuned for more exciting stories on Squatch Talks.